If you didn't know, now you know. MAGA really doesn't understand or like the concept of checks and balances, because how dare anyone, let alone a Supreme Court justice who Trump has handpicked himself, defy him? Well, that is exactly what Justice Amy Coney Barrett has just done, and it's got MAGA referring to her as a DEI pick. Of course, the insult makes no sense, despite the fact that Barrett is, in fact, a woman and does have ties to Black people. She was appointed to the Supreme Court by a president who has never believed in or supported any kind of DEI initiative. She was chosen for no other reason than she was expected to be a malleable and loyal conservative justice. But if you're anything but a straight, white, and wealthy man, it's only a matter of time before someone accuses you of being a DEI pick.
A lot of people noticed that Amy Coney Barrett seemed to, it was even worse than chilly. She looked at him and there seemed to be a bitterness there, a real resentful bitterness.
Still, justices aren't supposed to be loyal to the president or party that appointed them. They're supposed to serve as a check to the president and Congress, whoever the president is and whichever party is in congressional control. They're also supposed to be the greatest legal minds in the country, and if the greatest legal minds in the country can't think for themselves, then what is the point of them even being there? Whether or not Justice Barrett is one of the greatest legal minds in the country is questionable and debatable, but calling her a DEI pick is ridiculous. So here is why MAGA is mad at her. The Trump administration is trying to renege on $2 billion worth of USAID payments, money that is already owed from existing contracts, but the Supreme Court has blocked the move. In a 5-4 split, the 3 liberal judges plus Barrett and Chief Justice John Roberts rejected Trump's request by refusing to overturn a ruling from District Judge Amir Ali, where Ali issued a court order saying that the administration had to pay what it owed. Roberts was appointed by George W. Bush and is typically very conservative, but he's not being called a DEI pick like Barrett is. Perhaps he was never expected to be loyal to Trump since Trump never appointed him, but it's most likely that he's not being targeted the way that Barrett is because straight, white, wealthy men are presumed to have earned their elevated positions in life more than the rest of us are presumed to have done so. They are the benchmark, and the more you deviate from that baseline, the more other you are, the harder you have to work for the same level of respect, authority, and forgiveness in anything you have the audacity to pursue. Several right-wing influencers have called Barrett a DEI hire or some version of that on social media since the ruling came out, with some claiming that her appointment was a mistake that will end badly. Trump's bestie, Laura Loomer, posted a picture of Barrett and her family, including her 2 adopted Black children, with the caption, "Amy Coney Barrett was a DEI appointee." Apparently, according to MAGA, proximity to Black people is just as bad as actually being a Black person. Another Trump influencer referred to the quote-unquote anti-Trump majority in the Supreme Court, which is, and I know this word gets thrown out a lot these days, but it really feels like a dystopian way to refer to the conservative or any wing of the Supreme Court. They're really just not interested in hiding the fact that they want something of either a monarch or a dictator in power in this country. Either that, or they're not hiding the fact that they just don't understand how our government was designed to work in the first place. Anyway, the 4 justices who dissented claim to have done so not on the grounds of loyalty to Trump or to Republicans, but because they questioned whether or not a district judge has jurisdiction over the case. Conservative Justice Samuel Alito said of the dissenting opinion, "Does a single district court judge who likely lacks jurisdiction have the unchecked power to compel the government of the United States to pay out and probably lose forever $2 billion taxpayer dollars?" The answer to that question should be an emphatic no, but a majority of this court apparently thinks otherwise. I'm stunned. Ali, who earned his JD from Harvard and was appointed to his position by President Biden, had originally implemented a payment deadline of February 26th for the Trump administration. However, that deadline has since passed while the case was taken by the Supreme Court. Now the Supreme Court has told Ali to clarify what obligations the government must fulfill to ensure compliance with the temporary restraining order with due regard for the feasibility of any compliance timelines. So the Supreme Court is kind of functioning as it should, and I'm not just saying that because I happen to agree with this particular decision. I just like the validation that these justices, even the ones who were appointed by Trump, are capable of going against him. It also suggests that some conservative judges sitting on the court aren't completely bought and paid for, which is a comforting thought. Of course, this isn't the first time a Trump-appointed or conservative judge has ruled against Trump, but this is the first time we're seeing accusations, at least as far back as I can tell, of a DEI pick sitting on the Supreme Court. DEI aside, Amy Coney Barrett, in my opinion, has not earned her right to be on that court. Neither has Brett Kavanaugh, who also ruled against Trump in the past, but no one called him a DEI pick. You know who else hasn't been called a DEI pick? Neil Gorsuch, who was also appointed by Trump. Both Kavanaugh and Gorsuch ruled against Trump back in 2020 in a decision over whether or not Trump could defy a subpoena demanding he turn over his tax and financial records. And I'm not going to pretend that these few examples are a reason to hope that the Supreme Court in its current iteration is still a respectable or redeemable institution, but I will take a win where I can get one these days. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.